Solaris on, and I'm super excited. Welcome to Conscious Heart Solutions, Debbie.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me. I'm
Yes,
so excited to be here.
I'm very excited, and I feel honored. I've watched you for years now, and I've had a reading by you, so I know that you are highly learned in the Akashic Records and
Thank you.
the Galactic storylines that seem to be playing out here. I know that you'll be able to give us some answers. So many people have questions
Oh,
still.
yeah.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
been on this trajectory for years and I still have a lot of questions that I'm curious about. But anyways, so Debbie, would you mind sharing? I was going to read your bio, but I'm thinking it's going to be a little lengthy, and maybe you could just share with us, have a verbal bio,
Oh, yeah,
share
sure.
who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am a galactic historian. I would say that's probably my foremost title, or what I guess identify the most. I don't really like titles, but sometimes I think they're necessary, but um I'm also a galactic Akashic reader. My readings are super, super popular. I mean, it's insane, how many people we have on the waiting list these days. I'm also an ET contactee, so I've had actual contact with extraterrestrial beings. This was back in 2012. And then I'm a starseed intuitive, just, an Akashic guide, so I try to help people out, help people on their journeys, so I consider myself to be of service, during this time. And that's pretty much what my life work is right now, is just to be of service to humanity. As far as how I started, I was a very unawakened human for many, many years, very ordinary upbringing. Was a military brat, so my family traveled all over the world, and eventually I did. I did go on a spiritual journey, but I think it was very kind of immediate for me. With most people, they've been on kind of in a spiritual journey for like 30 years or something. But with me, it was just like instant. It was like one day I was very asleep, next day I was completely awakened. So there's all kinds of different types of spiritual journeys, but mine happened. I would say. When I started being with my current life partner, who is Terry. So when I started dating Terry, he was always into the paranormal. He was into UFOs, and I was like, what's this crazy stuff my boyfriend's reading? I mean, what is this crazy?
Mm.
And just to give you an idea of my background, I came from a very kind of left-brained background. I was raised Roman Catholic. My father was in the military. I was in the military for a few years. I was active duty Navy for 6 years, worked as a hospital corpsman, as a preventive medicine tech. And then I would say after my military experience, I worked in the environmental health, public health field for, I would say a number of years, at least 30 years. And so I had a very full career and, more of a technical science background. So I wasn't really that much in tune with spirituality or metaphysics or, the paranormal. That just wasn't part of my, my realm at the time. So when I started dating Terry, he kind of introduced me to some of this stuff. And at first I thought, what's this, crazy shit? My boyfriend's watch. Excuse my language sometimes.
No, you're fine.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes, I'm just thinking, what is this crazy stuff? But I started reading a little bit of it and I was like, I don't know, but maybe there's some possibility. So it's just like my consciousness was starting to expand a little bit, but I was still very skeptical. But then I had my own experience in 2012 where I did find myself on board an extraterrestrial starship. This was after I had sent out this really earnest prayer to the universe asking for assistance for planet Earth. It was like one of those sleepless nights, and I was very worried. And so I was sending out this prayer to the universe. And then during my experience, I do think it was an out of body experience. I don't think it was like physically I was on board a starship, but it did feel very, very real. And it was
Yeah.
not a dream. It was beyond real. The reason why I say beyond real is because it felt like I was in a much higher dimension. And when you're in the higher realms or the higher dimensions, colors are more brilliant, details are more brilliant, very, very detailed, very sharp. It's just, you can see auras around things, beings speak to each other telepathically. So it's a very different experience than what we have here in the 3D reality, where it almost seems like 3D reality. Even though, I live in a beautiful state, I live in Colorado, and Colorado is freaking awesome. It's just a very awesome place to live.
Yeah.
But even sometimes, when you look at 3D reality, it looks very dull. It just looks like kind of washed out, or I don't know how to describe it. It's just very washed out compared to the experiences that we might have in the higher realms. So I went through this experience and, with these extraterrestrial beings. And my understanding is that these extraterrestrial beings I was interacting with was mostly Arcturians from Arcturus. And evidently, I found out that I am an Arcturian soul. I originated from Arcturus, and they were part of my soul family. And that's why they had reached out to me to remind me that I came here for a mission, that I was supposed to be doing much greater work than just, working for local government, inspecting restaurants, so that's what I used to do. And it took a while. I would say after I had two experiences. So I had the first experience in May 2012. The second experience on board that same starship I had in December 2012. But even after the first experience, I did notice that my extrasensory perception just increased 100-fold. It was just like I went from being very asleep, very ordinary, to being totally in tune. It's just like the switch came on. So and it was very scary. It's scary, when things have changed, to that level. And oftentimes I thought I was going crazy. I just thought, I'm losing it. I don't know what's happening to me. But I started taking a lot of spiritual classes, trying to figure out what was going on with me. Why that I had that kind of experience. What was it? What did it mean? So these are a lot of the questions that a lot of people come to me for when they're having an Akashic reading. They just want to know what the heck is going on. They want to know, what is their place in this reality? Why are we all here? Why are we having this crazy experience? So, and why are we having it all together? So, so these are all the same questions I had. And I ended up, I eventually took Akashic courses. It wasn't something that I had set out like immediately. It was kind of like I went through my own journey, so. But as far as spiritual classes, I took spiritual classes in everything. It was in everything, so I didn't discriminate. It was like, everything from chakra balancing to Native American medicine wheel to harmonic astronomy. All of it, physics, it was, I just took the gamut because I knew I had to know this information. It was just kind of like, I was like a sponge for like a few years. My career didn't start until probably around 2015. So we're talking about, 3 years of self-discovery. And then I was asked by a colleague if I would speak. She was looking for people that have had ET contact. And I told her, yeah, that's me. That's, me here. So she asked if I would speak to a group in Denver, and I was really reluctant because I thought people would laugh at me. I thought they would think, I was like, you know, a nut job, so she had to kind of talk me into it. And when I gave the presentation, I was amazed at how many people just loved my story. They just really resonated with it. They were very supportive. And then from there, I got invited to speak at the University of Colorado in Boulder for a group
Wow.
called Boulder Exopolitics. So they asked me to talk about galactic history, and that's kind of what I guess started my career, my spiritual
Yeah.
career. I was still working full time. I was still working for local government. I worked for the local health department. I did that up until 2019, when I finally decided enough was enough. I had to choose one path or the other. And so I chose the spiritual path, but with no regrets whatsoever. um, I'm proof that no matter how entrenched you get in the 3D, you can pull yourself out of it. You can create a 5D lifestyle for yourself, and we'll go more into that as we go into this podcast.
Yes.
But yeah, I was working, I was working 40 hours a week, or sometimes more, with public health. And then on the same time, I was doing Akashic readings, doing my, teaching uh, at different events, in different venues in the Front Range of Colorado, which is pretty much the whole Boulder, Denver, Colorado Springs corridor. Um, for a number of years. So I was doing that part time, and then I was, still working. But then my guides told me they told me eventually that I just had to, I couldn't do both. I had to
Yeah.
pick. And so much to, I guess, and I got a lot of criticism from my family. I got a lot of criticism from my partner. They didn't want me to quit because they wanted me to get my quote unquote full retirement, which I ended up getting my full retirement anyway. So even though I quit 2 years
I
early,
love that. Yes.
yeah,
Very
uh,
good. Yeah.
yeah. So I took my Akashic earnings and I paid for time. So I just said, I just want to get the hell out. What do I need to do to get the hell out and still get my full retirement? And
Yeah.
and so I just plopped down a big old freaking check and just said, I want my freedom here. Just get me out, So I did retire 2 years
Wait a
ago.
minute. Are you saying, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
You said you plopped out, so you had to pay
I
your
had to
way
pay
out?
for
Is that
time.
what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I had to pay for time. I had to pay for my freedom. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a
But
good chunk of money. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
government retirement systems work. Yeah. I mean,
Can
they'll
you
allow you to.
elaborate a little bit on that? Because I'm sure that a lot of people probably are not aware of
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh yeah. It's well, I work for local government, so I work for, county government, which they have their own retirement system. But it's based on, I think, a combination of your age and time, so I
Okay.
was still fairly young, so I couldn't just say, I wasn't 65 yet. So
Yeah.
I'm not even 65 now. So,
Yeah.
you know, so, uh, so they weren't going to let me just leave, so if I would have left without purchasing time, I would have gotten a much reduced retirement pension. So in order for one to be able to retire with the full pension, they do what is called service purchase. So you're purchasing time. So you're purchasing years towards your retirement, and it's not cheap. It's very expensive. It's not a cheap deal.
No,
So
no.
yeah, so
I can imagine. I mean,
yeah,
just
it was.
picturing in
So
my
this
mind
is
what that might look like.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is sometimes, I think, what those of us that are really entrenched in the 3D reality have to do to break out of it. It's kind of like do or die, and for me, it was imperative that I leave early because I was getting sick. I came down with breast cancer. I came down with hyperparathyroidism, which is not hyperthyroidism. It's a totally different disease, which is a lot more. It's deadly. I mean, you end up dying from it. I was becoming obese. I had pre-diabetes. I mean, I had a lot of stuff going on, health wise, and I knew if I stayed at my toxic, job, government job, I was going to die. That's how critical it was. And there was actually people that had died, that worked at the health department. I mean, people that were relatively young, and they just, and then you hear this announcement, oh, so and so died. I mean, it was just like, and it was like, oh yeah, that's sad. And then they'd go on, it was like, it was no big freaking deal. It was like, but that's how these toxic work environments are. So I told my partner I wanted to leave, and he and I fought for 3 years because he wanted me to stay. He wanted me to get that retirement. And I basically told him, hell no, I'm not staying. We need to figure something else out. And so I took all the money I had saved from my Akashic readings and purchased my freedom pretty much,
Wow.
So,
but the reward of that is definitely well
oh
worth
God,
it.
I have no regrets.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
yeah, no regrets.
That's lovely to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was the best thing I ever did. Beyond, the things I've done for my health, uh, but I was a freaking mess by the time I retired. Physically, I was a mess.
Yeah.
And emotionally, I was a mess. I was, I
No.
had to go through a lot of healing, so,
Yeah. Sorry, Debbie. If you see me look this way, just real quick, it's my puppy. I have a new puppy in
oh,
5 months, and he's in his crate and he's going to stay there, but he
yeah.
can, he gets a little anxious after being in for a little bit, and
Oh yeah, no, totally,
yeah.
totally, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I got the
So
doors shut so my cat doesn't come in, so because she always wants to kind of hang out, but then she gets a little bit too rambunctious. So,
yeah, well, if I put him in a room to shut he'll just bark like crazy. So I don't
mhm,
bother. I let him, at least we can see each other, but
yeah.
he tries to, sometimes get a little spicy, I call it. And
Oh, totally,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
But
I,
so okay, so that's well, first off, I think I was married to a hospital corpsman in the Navy.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
gotcha. So you
yeah,
you know exactly what I used to do.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And well, we were only married for a year. It didn't last long, but that's a
yeah,
whole nother story. But I think that's interesting, and I think, well, I don't think I know that the military. I mean, I think people are privy to certain information. We know that they kind
yeah.
of are, you know, selective in who's allowed to know and how
Oh,
much they're
totally.
allowed to know and the
Yeah,
whole bit. So and I know that your credentials are amazing. I mean, I probably should have read your bio, but it's anybody that you can go on the event page and have a read if you'd like. I
or they
think
can just go on my website and they can
yeah,
read all about me.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So I don't want you to feel like I was skipping over that. I don't.
Oh no,
I
no, not
Yeah.
not at all, not at all. No,
I just thought
I
it coming from
appreciate.
you, yeah,
Yeah,
would be probably more of a
more
um.
personal. Yeah, totally.
Yes, exactly.
And I
Yeah,
appreciate the, I guess the different insight or the different perspective, in telling my story because it is everybody's story. I think it's all of our stories. I think we're all trying to break out of the 3D. And we're all, realigning with our true cosmic selves, and we're all, reconnecting with the divine. So it's kind of like I'm just kind of like a prototype of what's going to be, the galactic human story, is how I see it.
well, I
I've
think your work is amazing,
Oh,
and I
thank you.
don't
I
take it
appreciate it.
lightly. I think
Yeah.
your dedication and your earnestness is definitely obvious, and people like myself and others, I'm sure. I mean, I don't speak for other people, but I think in a whole, I could speak for the collective. Those of us that have had awakenings, I surely have had an awakening. Mine happened in
Yeah. Oh,
2011,
totally. Yeah.
and I went up, so I know exactly what you're talking about as far as the colors of everything and the
Hmm.
density and feeling 3D is heavy and so forth. And I still have moments where I kind of fluctuate. I don't but I know that I primarily operate from a 4D perspective at this point, although I go, I'm able
Well, I
to,
think that's
we're
common for all of us.
multidimensional, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah. Um, so you have one video and I'm so for those that are either listening in now or will be listening in it, from Conscious Heart Solutions or Soma Fusion, uh, Debbie has her own um, YouTube show,
Channel. Yep.
and she does Akashic readings. And there's so much information just by listening to some of these people's readings, how much information you can gather and maybe resonate with and learn more about who you are, what, your soul and so forth. And there's nothing like having a personal reading. And I would highly encourage you to reach out to her, although she does have a wait list, but that doesn't mean you won't be able to get
You just
one.
have
It
to be
just might
patient.
take some time. Yeah,
Have to be
exactly.
patient. Yeah.
Um, and anyway, so recognizing extraterrestrial frequency. You had a short clip, and I love listening to it because I think, you know, people, well, let me just say this. We're born in these human families, but not everybody in our family, say, for instance, if you're a Arcturian. Not everybody in your family is Arcturian, right?
Oh
You're
gosh,
born
no.
in,
No.
right.
No.
So can you elaborate or share a little bit more with the audience on how they could possibly, what are a few tools they can use to tap into being able
Oh,
to
totally.
feel into, yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I love to share that. It's like, the journey that a lot of us are on, I think, I've been on myself. So that's why I could speak to this, because I had to discover this all myself too. And um, even though, I did get that little extra boost, from being on board the Starship, but,
Yeah,
uh,
sure.
and I think a lot of us will have those types of experience, and a lot of us are having those types of experiences. It's just, it's different for every person, but, so no two people have exactly the same experience, but speaking to so what happens with, I think, star seeds, okay, that a lot of us currently in this reality are ancient souls that have come from alternate star systems, galaxies, alternate realities, ultimate dimensions, so
So
uh,
that's what you would refer to as a star seed, just to be clear.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
people, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so a
Okay.
star seed is a person that is having a human experience that is human in this lifetime, but they're not from Earth originally. So they're from, Pleiades or Arcturus or, some alternate galaxy, but they're here having a human experience, for, a variety of different reasons. But a lot of us are, because we have chosen to be here on Earth at this time, we have to make negotiations with Earth families. Like, hey, I want to incarnate in your family. What is it that I need to do to help you guys out? And for a lot of us star seeds, the negotiation we make with our Earth families is, I will help you clear your entire ancestral karma. So I mean, so that is what a lot of us come to do. And so for a lot of star seeds, we end up choosing very, I would say, hard lessons, particularly in the early years of our lives. So I hear over and over again, and I think this is pretty much the human experience anyway, but a lot of us go through some traumatic experiences in our childhoods or in our, teenage years or early adulthood, because we're working through all this ancestral karma that, we have agreed to resolve with our earth families. So it's kind of like our way of thanking them, but it's also, I think, our way of really understanding the human condition. So Because when we're in the higher realms, when we're in the Pleiades, or when we're in Arcturus or Sirius, we don't necessarily have a lot of the adversity there. It's like we don't really kind of like struggle with a whole lot of adversity and when you're in these higher dimensions. So in order for us to be of service here on planet Earth, we have to have a really clear understanding of what Earth people go through. And so that's the other reason why we take on some of these hard lessons as star seeds. But as far as connecting with who's a star seed, or trying to figure out if you're a star seed or if people in your family are star seeds, I do it mostly by frequency. So I have an ability to read frequency, and I think it's an ability that all of us can learn. I actually teach a training on it on my website. If you go on the training page, recognizing extraterrestrial frequencies, it's mainly learning how to open up your third eye, being able to see the auric field, and recognizing the certain energy signatures that are associated with certain star systems. So all of us can do that. It's not like specific to me or only certain people. So each I think star system, so those of us that are star seeds, we carry certain frequencies that are associated with certain star systems. So I've gotten to the point now where I can just look at somebody's auric field and I know, oh yeah, they're from the Pleiades, or yeah, they've had a lot of lifetimes in Sirius. So I know that. But for those folks that are starting out, looking at the auric field helps, but also I think looking out for starseed signs. Like most star seeds tend to be different. We tend to have a more expansive viewpoint on life and reality. We're the ones that are asking a lot of questions. We're the ones that are rebelling against authority. We're usually the ones that feel really different when we were growing up. We also feel, I think,
For sure. Yeah.
We feel very, very different.
Yeah.
We don't feel like we're part of this, social matrix construct that a lot of humans are, I think, attached to. So we don't feel that same level of attachment. We also have the ability to see through deception, and more so than I would say the average person. Now, even though there's a lot of star seeds, there's also, I think, still a lot of Earth souls, that are here. And occasionally, I mean, I would say the majority of people I read for are star seeds because they're interested in this stuff, but
Yeah.
occasionally I do get some very enlightened Earth souls, and they know that they're Earth souls. They say, I'm from Earth. I'm not from any star system, but I'm on a spiritual path. I want to know more about my path. So that gives me a lot of hope when Earth souls are starting to be interested in their Akashic records. Because that tells me that we're starting to see a shift. As far as awakening. But I would say the Earth souls are younger souls, so they're not necessarily as ancient as star seeds, so they're kind of going through their own spiritual journeys. And I think eventually what's going to happen is that, I think in this particular time period where, we're going to be on this trajectory. We're currently on the trajectory from 3D to 5D, that we're going to see Earth souls ascend, and they're going to start having incarnations outside of Earth. So they're going to start becoming maybe Earth seeds, but they'll be having experiences in the Pleiades or in Sirius or
Right. I never thought of that. I never thought of that before.
I don't see why
that
they
makes sense. That feels right. Yeah.
Yeah, because they'll be on their own. They'll be evolving as well. So so just like us star seeds, because we're all connected. I mean, we're all related. We're all connected. So star seeds are coming here to Earth to have experiences, why couldn't Earth people go to, especially those that are on the path, that have done their work, that have worked through, generations of karma and things like that, um, so I don't see why that couldn't happen for Earth people, and I'll be so excited for them. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. We
Yeah.
don't do that. No, trying to scratch up my wall, like, yeah, and I don't want,
Oh yeah.
him marking up my
Puppies
wall.
are a
I mean,
handful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
they-
yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No,
So
that's I never thought, I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't have thought something like that, but I just never thought that it would be the other way around, that
oh
Earth
totally.
souls. Well,
Totally.
what is your thoughts about, Debbie? What are your thoughts about there only being, say, I mean, I've heard this idea floating around for years that there's only like 100 million humans on the planet, and the rest are either AI or all this stuff. Like, what's your, I know that we're in these avatar bodies, and I
Yeah,
am a
gotcha.
person that believes in AI is, well, I know for myself, I know AI is part of my bio. I know some of my history, and
Yeah,
I
gotcha.
know that
Yeah.
I'm a Pleiadian and so forth, but I know that I didn't start in Pleiades. But
Yeah,
anyway,
most of us
so
didn't. Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
most of us didn't start in the
Yeah,
police.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So so what is your thoughts about, the different, I know it's different perspectives, so I don't, attach an adamant belief on one person over another, but
no, I would just say I agree with you. I find it hard to believe that there's 8 billion people on the planet. I mean, because the planet doesn't seem that populated. Okay, I mean, it's just, and I know Gosha from Cosmic Agency. I don't know if you guys follow her. She has her own YouTube channel. She channels the Taigetans from the
yeah, I've
Pleiadians.
listened to a little bit of her
Yeah,
stuff, but not, I'm not, I don't listen to her like I do you, but I've listened to
yeah.
some of her stuff.
But
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff she comes, she channels in is really interesting, and so a lot of time, sometimes I'll pop in just to listen to some of her stuff. But and she now has a show on Gaia, I think. So
Yeah.
uh, so she was talking about how I would say there's maybe 100,000, I mean 100 million, humans that are truly humans, that, and then the rest are what she calls fake people, or fake people. They're AI constructs. They're just like your neighbors might not even be real. I mean, they might be like AI that, because what the Arcturians told me when I was on board the starship was that I kept asking them about why things were so hard in the 3D, and they say the 3D is an illusion. It's not even real. It's an AI reality that's kind of created to look real, but it really isn't real. And at the time, I didn't understand what they were talking about, but now that I've been on this journey for a little over a decade now, I understand it more, and I think, yeah, that totally makes sense, and so it's not even really reality. It's
Yeah.
so it would make sense that there's probably some people that aren't really real. I mean, and they might even be members of your own family. You never know.
Yeah. Right.
It might be
No,
kind of
the
scary.
reason, well, I think that's so fascinating, everything that you just shared. And
Mhm.
well, I will say this, just for the sake of people watching this, will be watching this show. I'm
Yeah.
very much very real. Although I do have AI that is, my body is augmented. So I do know that I've been used in the My Lab,
Oh, totally. Yeah.
programs. I was told that I went through 220 and backs, whatever that means. I have
Yeah.
some memory, very little.
Yeah.
And I really don't find, there was a time when I felt like I needed, or I wanted to know more, but I think I've been worn out. And I think a lot of people, just from talking with different people, and I'm kind of connected to a pretty, mm, um, pretty evolved group of people. Well,
Oh,
you're one
totally,
of them,
totally. Yeah.
right? People that are, and I definitely don't have all the answers. I don't think anybody does, but I think there are people that are used and have chosen, like for yourself, to be able
Mhm.
to have these gifts and to be able to use them in order to help those like myself and others to get some clarity on, what the heck they're experiencing. I
Yeah.
mean,
And I don't know why it had to be me. I mean, honestly, I
well,
don't.
that's because of your soul. First off, because you can do it from a neutral perspective, Debbie, without having judgment either way.
No,
And
thank
that's
you. I
so important.
appreciate
I
it.
don't think people realize how important that is.
Yeah, no,
To
it
be
is. It is
neutral
very
and not to,
important.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Because otherwise, even energetically, we can imprint our ideas, thoughts,
Mhm.
will on other people, right? If we
Oh,
don't
totally.
and I, I'm practicing not doing that so
Hmm.
much now, but anyways, so okay, so how does one open their third eye in excuse me, in order to be able to just, I mean, I'm not saying, give away all your, you have
Oh, I
classes
don't
that
mind
people
giving
can
away
take.
all my secrets. I mean,
Okay, well then that's
that's what I'm
completely up
here to
to
do.
yeah. Well,
It's like,
how does one open their third eye in order to be able to see, just to be able to navigate properly in this 3D reality or 4D, or because 4D, the lower 4D is filled with a lot of not so
oh,
nice stuff.
it's you know,
Yeah,
there's some messed up beings in the lower
for
40.
sure. I know
Yeah,
this
yeah,
from
you
my
don't
own
want to be
experience. Yeah,
hanging out there if you don't have
yeah,
to. So
yeah, yeah.
that's why I can't do. I mean, I could do mediumship, but I choose not to because I don't want to be talking to random 4D lost souls that are not very evolved. I rather talk to evolved beings.
Right.
So um, as far as opening your third eye, there are exercises you can do to do that, and there's a little breathing exercise that one can do where, and I teach this in my recognizing extraterrestrial contact, frequency course. But
Mhm.
um, so you're just kind of focusing in on your third eye, and so you're just kind of breathing. You're breathing in through your nose, you're breathing out through your mouth, you're breathing in through your nose, you're breathing out through your mouth, and you're just focusing your energy on the third eye. And you're doing this breathing for a while, and you're focusing the energy in on the third eye. And you should start to feel a buzzing or some colors or see some colors or usually it's either like you'll hear a buzzing sound or you'll start seeing colors. That's an indication that your third eye is starting to open. And it's a real easy exercise. It's not complicated. There's also other things that you can do to open up your third eye. There's certain yoga poses you can do that open third eye.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
no,
mean, I know yoga is very good to keep the energy flowing properly and to be
oh
able
yeah,
to keep the
yoga
chakras spinning
is
properly.
amazing.
But yeah,
I follow my own yoga practice. It is an amazing modality for really tuning into energy and really keeping yourself very balanced. But there's the child's pose is one of those poses that helps you. Downward facing dog is another one. Some of the warrior poses will help
right.
one open up third eye. Um, Let me see what other ones. Yeah, I think it's mostly the warrior poses. Um, Even the connecting heaven and earth. So it's kind of like you're reaching out. So you're connecting with earth and connecting with heaven at the same time. That helps with third eye activation. There's a number of yoga poses that one can do to really help with third eye opening. I would say eliminating fluoridated water, GMO foods, trying to keep yourself as high vibrational as possible is going to help. There's also certain foods that you can eat that opens up the third eye. So it's any food that's blue or purple will
Oh,
help.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that would be like grapes or beets or acai, berries. Berries are wonderful for opening up third eye. Um, just like any fruits or any vegetables that are purplish or bluish in
I
color.
eat a lot of beets. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like my third eye is definitely open, but I don't take that for granted. I feel like there's more that can be.
Oh yeah, totally. I think it's a
Yeah,
on.
I don't think it's a one-time shot thing.
Oh
I think
no,
we.
you have to
Yeah,
constantly work on it.
yeah,
Because we've been programmed to be very shut down, when here on this planet. So
yes.
so we got to do all we can to combat against it. And so and this is all stuff I do on a daily basis. I mean, it's like I'm not telling you
It's spiritual
anything.
hygiene, and I
Yeah,
think it's important. I mean, I'm not. I go in and out with it. Like lately, I'll be honest. I mean, Debbie, I've been wanting to eat chips and chocolate cake every damn day.
yeah,
I mean, I hate to say that. And what's crazy is I've never been a I've never been a junk food person,
yeah,
even before my awakening. Like
yeah,
I grew up. My mother grew our own vegetables and fruits in the backyard. I mean, and we ate. She said, if you want something sweet, eat a piece of fruit. We didn't get cakes and candy and
yeah. Gotcha.
Coca-Cola and all that growing up. And I'm thankful because in my adult life, I didn't turn to those things. But and you mentioned hypothyroidism, and I
Yeah.
would like for you to speak to that, not to swing so
Oh,
far to the
yeah.
other
We can go
side.
wherever you
But
want to go. So
well,
I'm
the
just
thing
here with the
is
flow.
because
Yeah. So
I've been taking a synthetic um, hypo. Well, okay, so I attempted to take a natural thyroid medicine that somebody recommended, and the ingredients were amazing, and I was thinking that it was helping me, and then come to find out, my thyroid actually was getting worse. Like
oh,
it was
gotcha. Yeah.
becoming more imbalanced,
Yeah.
and I tried the what's it called? The iodine. I don't know how much to take. Anyways, I definitely tried to do it naturally. And it got to the point where I just was completely exhausted. Like I'd have 2 hours of energy and that's it. And I just had no energy to do anything. And finally I gave in and went back to the doctor because I am a
Yeah.
person that believes in natural holistic ways of healing
Yeah.
and so forth. So I did get put on this medicine and it now is balanced. It's much
Hmm.
better. Then I found out that my B12 was very low. But I didn't just quickly, and not to go off on my stuff, but I didn't have Hashimoto's or
Yeah.
hypothyroidism until I had a flu shot. That's a fact.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
I had a Kundalini activation and then took a flu shot
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
after 1,000 times of saying no.
Yeah.
So and there's a reason for me saying this for those that will be listening. It's when you hear something repetitively, at some point you may give into that. So really be mindful,
Oh, totally.
not
Yeah.
suggesting
Yeah.
everybody will do this, but
Yeah.
be mindful of what you're taking into your psyche, what information you're allowing to enter your energetic field, because, you know, we can easily give up our I am,
Sovereignty. Yeah.
sovereignty if we're and I for whatever reason my soul chose to have that experience to do that. I have been working to correct that
Oh,
for
totally. Yeah.
yeah. So do you mind sharing more
Oh no,
about the
not at
hypo?
all. Yeah. No, as a
Because
matter of
it seems to
fact,
be a common thing now.
oh,
Everybody seems,
totally.
yeah, yeah,
Totally. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of us are having thyroid issues these days because of the bombardment of toxicity. Our hormones get out of balance, and I think for women, we're more susceptible because we're a lot more empathic, and
mm,
we're kind of like little energy conduits a lot of times, and that's just biologically speaking, we're like that as well as energetically or spiritually. Uh, but I think a lot, and a lot of us are working very stressful jobs. We're trying to balance, family and work and everything else. So we go through a drain very um, we become very exhausted, so our hormones get really depleted, and then the cortisol levels kick in, which, further imbalances the thyroid. And I do still have hypothyroidism. That's the only condition that I was not able to reverse. But And I'm not like necessarily somebody that is totally against allopathic medicine. I think there's a place and time for allopathic medicine, that sometimes, we have to have a surgery, or sometimes we have to, take some sort of medication. But I mean, and I think it's up to the individual to decide what's going to be best for their health. But
Mhm.
in my case, I do take a natural thyroid compound that I did get from my doctor, and it's kept me balanced. I mean, I don't feel like I have any of the hypothyroid symptoms that I used to have, but I also suffered from hyperparathyroidism, which is not the thyroid at all. It's the parathyroids, which are glands in the back of your neck. There's four of them usually. Um, and when those get wonky, that could kill you. Okay, so that, I mean, you'll get tumors on your parathyroids, and so I actually had to have surgery to get I had 3 out of 4 parathyroids removed, because 3 of them had tumors. I mean, they were huge compared.
Oh, I'm so glad you were able to get that taken care of, Debbie.
Yeah, I had to
I think
fly
you're
to.
amazing, and I don't.
Yeah, thank you.
When
No,
I hear stories like that, it just, it's such a. Um, I'm very thankful to hear that.
no, me
But
too.
good for you. Yeah.
I hooked up with an amazing team of doctors in Tampa, Florida, and
Mhm.
they flew me out there, and I still have the little. I was just looking at it today. I still have the little scar here where they cut me open, but it was just a little teeny scar, and it was an amazing surgery, and they took really good care of me. So if you
Well,
get
they
if you
say a lot of the doctors that are on the planet, I'm sorry, some of
yeah
the are mantids, and they're well, I've heard that. I've
yeah
heard
yeah
that
got
they are
yeah.
mantids, and they're they appear to be human, but they're actually mantids, and they're very learned in
Oh yeah, no,
medical.
there are
Yeah,
some amazing, and they're
yeah,
not all doctors are just in it for the money, or
yeah, yeah,
and I know some very sincere, folks. I mean, a lot of them are my clients, that are
yeah, yeah,
doctors, so,
yeah.
um, but yeah, so that was one of my crazy health journeys I had to go through, and I had to recover from breast cancer, which um, I did. I did use natural methods to. I did not choose the chemotherapy route or the radiation route. Um, I ended up using a combination of natural, remedies, and I've been in remission now for 5 years. So, I'm
That's
supposed to.
fantastic to hear. So we know people that are going to be listening. We know
Yeah,
that, or that are listening. I haven't even checked because I'm so happy to have you on. I normally go on my Facebook and make sure that it's on my, and I haven't done that because I've just been really eager to hear what you have to say. So let me just check real quick to see if there's any questions, but
oh yeah,
we still
sure.
have
No, we
plenty
can
of,
definitely. But
yeah.
yeah, no, I think what's really cool. I just want to. I'm going to segue with this while you're checking. I am going to be offering a training on calling Mastering Starseed Health at the end of next month. So it'll be on July 31st. It'll be a webinar. So you can join in the live webinar, but if you can't join the live webinar, we'll have a recording available on my website that you can purchase and watch. But it's going to be 3 hours of very detailed information on how your star lineage impacts your health here on Earth and what you can do to remedy that. And this is based on
Wow.
information that I have picked up from the Akashic Records, that, from doing thousands of these Akashic readings I've done, and, I've seen trends, with certain star lineages. So somebody that's Pleiadian, predominantly a Pleiadian lineage person might have different health concerns than, say, somebody that's from Orion,
Do
so.
you mind sharing a few of those for Pleiadian? Because I know I have a Pleiadian soul.
Oh yeah,
So
totally. Yeah,
I'm
I'd be
just
happy.
curious. And
Yeah.
for other Pleiadians, yeah.
What I see with Pleiadians a lot is that they tend to have blood sugar issues, which is interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
So they either are diabetic or pre-diabetic, or they're the opposite. They're hypoglycemic, so so it kind of runs the range, but um, so they have to watch their pancreas. There seems to, and I think the reason for that is energetic. Pleiadian star seeds are extremely empathic, and they can fall into very codependent situations a lot of times, because they're so empathic. And then they feel like, gosh, I'm giving, 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 giving. There's no sweetness left in life, and then they shut down.
Yeah.
Their pancreas shuts down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How would you know what would be, I mean, I'm going to look this up, but just for the sake of this
Oh,
information,
totally. Yeah.
how would you know if you're having issues? Like, I definitely have had codependent. I mean, I'm clearing codependent behaviors big time right now.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
like
I
my
think we
number
all are
one.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah. But and it's but how would you know if your pancreas is compromised? Like, how would you know? What are some
Well,
of the
there's a number
symptoms?
of physical symptoms. I
Like
mean,
what?
like extreme thirst. Like you get really thirsty all the time.
Yeah,
You're
that would
losing,
be me.
yeah, you're losing weight for no reason.
I
You'll
wish.
start, yeah. I mean,
Not that I wish for that, but I wish I was losing weight for
yeah,
no.
that's
Yeah.
more like when you're in the full diabetes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
the
won't
full
be.
diabetes zone. When you're pre-diabetic, it's more like you're experiencing metabolic syndrome. So then you're having a hard time losing weight. So it's kind of works both ways. But
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to do some research on that. I mean,
yeah, no,
it's
it's
better to get
definitely a
on top of
trend.
it now before it becomes an issue. I never gave it any thought that possibly, depending on the starseed family or, you know, um, type of soul that you have, that there would be particular health issues,
Oh,
particularly
there
with
is,
that.
there
Yeah.
is.
So
Another
that,
one that's
yeah,
very prevalent is in the Lyran star seeds. Lyran Vega folks, that are from the star
yeah,
system of Lyra,
right.
or the constellation Lyra. Those folks tend to fall into a lot of autoimmune conditions because they carry trauma signatures, from extreme trauma during the Lyra Draconian Wars that has been embedded in their soul DNA for millennia. So what I see with those folks is a lot of fibromyalgia, a lot of like lupus or multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, chronic fatigue syndrome. Um, and it just seems like it happens to them. Like they'll start off being healthy, like in their earth life, and then they'll go through some extreme period of stress, and then boom, they get fibromyalgia, or boom, their chronic fatigue syndrome, or some other autoimmune condition. And the Hashimoto's falls in that category as well. I know we mentioned that before, but uh, I don't have a Hashimoto's signature either with my hypothyroidism. I just have the generalized hypothyroidism.
I
But
was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, so,
you
and
were okay.
but
Got
well, the thing is, I mean, Dr. Lachanina, I say her name. She's my general practitioner back in Maryland before I moved here from Maryland to
yeah,
Florida, and I went and saw her after I had a Kundalini activation.
yeah,
I went through going up and experienced. I mean, I had some pretty awesome experiences, and I'm
yeah,
very thankful. And but I turned around. She said, Ida, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because your health is better than I've ever seen you. Of course, I
oh,
didn't
that's
say, oh, yeah,
lovely.
I had a Kundalini activation. Of course, I always felt like when I walked in the doctor's office, they looked at me differently. Like, I
Yeah,
think especially the owner of the office, the one that, the whatever you call it,
yeah,
the
gotcha.
head
Yeah,
doctor, she
yeah,
used to always sit and like look at me. And she was Asian. And I imagine she probably could see auras and so forth. But
yeah,
anyways, then I had injured my back, and well, it's a long story. I'll tell you this. I was really foolish and was trying to build a case so that I could
yeah,
get money to publish my book because I
yeah.
start writing a book called Little Sisters Lost Soul, and I was severely targeted for that. That's again a whole nother story.
Gotcha.
Long story short, so I'm going into the into Walgreens getting my medications. Of course, diagnosed with ADHD, bipolar, all these things, and I'm taking Adderall for my ADHD. It did help me focus for sure. But I realized after, well, fast forward. So what do I do every time I go in? Oh, have you got your flu shot today? Take your flu shot, you know. And like I used to yell at the guy that worked at the counter because he would come into I worked in a hookah bar.
Oh, gotcha. Oh,
okay. And
okay.
so he worked at the Walgreens, so we were friendly. I mean, I knew him, and I was like, Sonny, don't ask me again. Like, I would literally get frustrated and angry. Well, long story short, there was a new pharmacist working this one particular day, a white lady, short blonde hair, and her white coat. And for whatever reason, I said yes this day, Debbie. And I went in that room and I sat down, and I swear she looked like a devil with a human face and knew exactly what she was like. She knew she was going to poison me. I was like this. I couldn't, I was shaking. I went to my doctor. She said, Ida, something's attacked your neurological system. The only thing I had done was take a flu shot. So it totally it's just like, you know, if we understand that we're electric and magnetic in it, are right. If you put poison, if you put water in a freaking electrical socket, it's going to cause some severe, you know, problems.
Totally.
Yeah. So, anyways, so it was a hard lesson to learn, I'll tell you, and I knew better. And for whatever reason, I did it. You know, I don't know. I think a lot of people, just from people that I speak to, you know, they have their awakenings and then they reach out and try and find people to help them understand what they're experiencing. And I think it's very important to be mindful who you reach out to, because
totally
might end up being in somebody's energetic field that is not your friend.
Totally.
And,
Totally.
So and in my case, I didn't realize who I was, you know,
totally
working with. Anyway.
Well, fortunately, you were able to reverse that, though. You know, so that was the you know, even though you went through that terrible experience, you know, you still were able to reverse it. So that's
well, thank you, Debbie, for telling me that, because you know, it's been hard on my heart for a long time. Like, am I gonna turn this around or what? I mean,
no, I do, that's the, I guess that's the reason why I'm teaching this course next month, is because and then we're going to offer another adjunct to it, anti-aging, which is going to come maybe it's probably going to be either September, maybe August or September, when we offer the anti-aging portion of it. But the Starseed health one, the reason why I want to offer that is because I want to give people hope that no matter how bad your health is, or no matter, you know, how hopeless it seems, you can turn everything around. I mean, we have the power in our own DNA to do that. It's just tapping into it and utilizing all the wonderful tools that we have at our disposal right now. I mean, I think we know we have access to beautiful, you know, modalities and tools and you know, that were not available, you know, even 50 years ago, you know.
No, for sure. Well, even the things like when you had your awakening, or I had mine in 2011, there were people that had awakenings. I don't think we go through just, I mean, this is just my own personal, you know, if you want to call it an opinion, but it's my experience that you don't just go through one awake. You might have one like big one that really gets you your attention and gets you, but we go through periods in life where, you know, cycles where we have certain experiences, and then when we look back in retrospect, we say, okay, now I see where, you know, I was doing things, because my thing is I'm hard-headed. Like I just, well, you mentioned about being empaths and or Palladians being in codependent relationships or whatever, and I never, I don't, I mean, I think it's just difficult to really want to believe that somebody is so self-absorbed or self-serving. And then I think about
totally.
And so
like,
I'll ignore the red flags and continue to
totally.
I'm sorry.
And I did teach a course on transforming galactic soul contracts, which is another course that people can take on my training page. And and that one's probably even better than the, the first one, the recognizing extraterrestrial frequency one. But that I talk about relationships, twin flames, soulmates, karmic situations,
I'm
family.
going to look into that. That's something that definitely, I think
Oh, it's
everybody
really
go to Debbie. We'll make sure that your, all your credentials and your links are at it when we
sure.
publish this for sure.
Sure.
And I can tell you, everybody, I had one reading with her now,
it was a little while ago. It was like, what, a couple of years ago?
Yeah, it was, I think in 2016 or 17, I had a reading with you. It was
probably 2017.
Yeah, maybe it was 17. I think it was, wait a minute.
Because you're one of my earlier ones.
I am. Well, I remember, yes.
Yeah, you're
but
one
I'm
of my
trying to remember,
ones.
was it here or was I in Maryland?
I think you were still in Maryland.
I think I was in Maryland, Debbie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So that would have been 2017 because I moved here in 2018.
Yeah.
So, but I will tell you that I did gain a lot of information from you from that reading, and I highly recommend. And I'm sure, I mean, you've grown so much and learned and expanded so much.
Oh yeah,
more
I'm always
now
learning along with everybody else. So,
yeah. But I've listened to several of your readings, and I think that what you're doing is amazing. I definitely see you as, I aspire to get to a place where I can help people in the way that you are. I mean, I do what I do, but I haven't really found my thing yet.
But,
I know I have a book in me.
I think you will. I mean, I think you're on that journey. I think it, and it took me a while too. It wasn't like, I had my experience and then they told me I was going to be an Akashic reader. I was going to be a galactic historian, it, kind of evolved to that. But, I think
we have to open ourselves up to, to what's meant for us and go with our intuitive and guide us. I mean, okay, so this is just my own perspective. I feel like I've been doing work my entire life. I mean, I've been doing, So, but to really tune into what's my thing, like where I can really focus in and create, because people, well, even myself, oh, what is my purpose? Your purpose is what you create it to be.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. It's not something that comes, I mean, we get guidance and we definitely get downloads and we,
Oh yeah, I think, but I also think our guides are not going to tell us, oh, you have to absolutely do this, because then they'll be infringing on our free will,
Right.
So
that's what I'm exactly.
So they need, so I think a lot of that is our own choice too, what we want to do, so it's not like, oh yeah, you definitely are meant to be an astrologer. You have to be an astrologer, I mean, no guide is ever going to tell you that, it's going to, at least no benevolent guide. So, so I think they give us enough of a free will, where, we can choose, but there is also that higher guidance, so if you, so part of what I try to do when I do Akashic readings, because I do get that question a lot, a lot of people ask me like, well, what is it I'm supposed to be doing? And I said, well, based on your past, your past lifetimes, off planet and on planet, this has been your path, so I try to give suggestions. I try to give a little bit of direction, but they still have to figure it out on their own. So I'm not just going to give them like, a little package like, okay, this is definitely what you're supposed to be doing, I mean, because otherwise it takes the fun out of the self-discovery, I mean, that's I mean, you got to have that experience of exploring things on your own, because otherwise it's no fun. I mean, it's like, okay, all right, that's what
I think a lot of people are well, okay, let me stop, because I catch myself doing that and I need to correct that. My perspective, I've gotten bored. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I feel like I'm in a timeout zone right now. And I feel like I'm preparing to, something big is about to happen for me, and I'm not sure what, but I feel it.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
And not just for me, for everybody, but I can only speak for myself, because I'm my own awareness of knowing just different things that are lining up or happening in my life. I'm preparing to do some, go down a different path. How to say, what I thought I wanted to do or was supposed to be doing, excuse me, I've always been a person of service to others, um, and have overextended myself in many ways, and part of that comes from my own trauma and codependency and so
Oh
forth,
yeah,
so on.
totally.
But
Yeah.
I've definitely done a lot of internal work to work those things out, and I'm not all the way there. I don't think we ever arrive. I think it's a process where we build more spiritual muscle, so to speak, and we grow and expand and evolve. And sometimes it feels like we go 10 feet or 10 steps forward and maybe 3 or 4 back. And then you're kind of, maybe you miss something and you need to re-examine and figure out what is it that I've missed? What is the lesson? Because
Yeah.
I am a firm believer that people show up in our life, and the same people with a different face. So the same type of lessons will continue to show up until we learn the lesson.
Yeah,
And I
totally,
know
totally.
that for sure because I've experienced it, and
Yeah.
know my awareness is too, in tune enough to be aware that, hey, wait a minute, this is the same. Yeah. So my point, so when boredom comes along, or when you're feeling kind of stuck, and what would you say to people that, because a lot of people reach out to me, and I would like to be able to give a different perspective than just my own, or just to see if we're if what I'm thinking is the same thing maybe you might have tapped into. Like, when people get in that place of feeling stuck, or not, bored, and really not knowing what to do, and possibly are challenged with maybe going back to some 3D ways of being,
Yeah,
what would you
gotcha.
say to somebody that is challenged with that?
That's another question I do get a lot of, is kind of the feeling of stuckness. I think all of us have experienced that, at various levels, within our lifetimes. I don't know. I guess with myself, and it depends on each individual person, because when I'm doing an Akashic reading, I have to take in consideration, that person's soul journey, so it's not just like a one pat answer. But I would say for most of us is to kind of go out of our comfort zone. If we're starting to feel
Yeah.
stuck, it's just it's like our guides, or our universe's way of saying, kicking us in the butt and saying, hey, you're the only one that can get yourself out of this situation. So you might have to take a risk, do something that that you might be fearful of, or might be scary, but just go and do it. And just trust the universe that it's all going to, fall into place. I would say, definitely, step out of your comfort zone, whatever that looks like. If it means that maybe you take a trip, that you've always wanted to take, and, just told yourself you couldn't do it, just go take that damn trip. Reach out to somebody, maybe become truly of service, maybe volunteer your time, with a local charity. I know I did that for a number of years. I was a part of an animal assisted therapy team for 6 years. And
Wow.
I did a lot of therapy. I did a lot of charitable work, a lot of volunteer work during that time. So whatever it is that you can do to break yourself out of the boredom, or the stuckness, just do it. And it'll be different for different people. So, so what works for me might not necessarily work for you. But I would say, the main one is keeping yourself high vibrational. So doing whatever it takes to keep yourself high vibrational, and to be able to open yourself up to new channels of energies that will shift. Okay. I am a big believer in the law of attraction. The Arcturians, teach about the law of attraction, manifestation skills. I believe that we can manifest whatever we want to in this reality and any reality. So you might want to, maybe do some research on law of attraction, and how to break some of these old patterns. So
That
um,
was wonderful feedback, definitely. I
oh,
mean, I
thank you.
appreciate
No,
everything that you
I,
just
I do
said.
get a lot of
Yes.
questions on that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, I think people just need to be courageous, just and don't accept the
I'm
status
about to be
quo.
courageous, Debbie. I'm about to be courageous. I'm so,
Yeah,
I mean, I've
no, I
been
think
sitting on it for a long time, and it's time for me to stop being in fear of anything. I mean, I don't fear, it's not fear. I think, well, okay, maybe it's fear of being looked at like I'm crazy, or, who does she think she is, or whatever. But the truth is I know the soul I have. I know who I am. I know some of my past lives. I know information that could be helpful,
oh,
and
totally,
answer some questions for people. But I've just,
totally.
yeah.
No, I
Debbie,
think
you're amazing, and I'm not. We're at 2:10. So, and I know you said
I
90
can I
minutes.
can be here until two. Well, I guess 2:30 your time,
Okay, yeah.
12:30 my time. So,
Okay, so so one of the we'll go back into the galactic, and thank you for all of that. I
oh
appreciate it.
no, you're
I'm
welcome.
sure
I mean,
people that are be
I'm on
listening
this
will.
journey
Yeah,
too. So everything that I'm sharing is all stuff that I had to do too. So I mean, it's I'm human too. So I have the same struggles as everybody else, but
work.
I just refuse to stay stuck. I guess that's the and I'm just one of those people that if I want to do something, I just do it. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't give a shit
Well,
anymore.
it because I feel like it would, uh, well, I'm speaking for myself. I mean, I can't
Mhm.
help that. I'm not trying to make this about me in any way, and
Oh
it's
no, of course
difficult
not. No, we
sometimes
all got to
doing
share
these.
our experiences. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah. But I know that it possibly could, cause discomfort for other people, and I for years said, okay, Ida, what's really get in touch with why you want to do it,
Right. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Make sure that your ego is in check
Yeah.
and that you're doing it for the right reasons.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and I do believe it's for the right reasons. I mean, but part of it is a selfish, not selfish, what's the word? Autonomy,
Yeah. Maybe
trying to get
autonomy is a
the
better
help
word.
I need
Hmm.
from people, because I feel like I've been alone. And well, you know what? I think I'll just go ahead, and if it doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, but I
No,
can
I'm
share
not at
this
all. No,
now. I know that I hold the soul of Eve, the original Eve.
yeah.
Okay, I
Gotcha.
know
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
And Eve means sex. It
Hmm.
doesn't mean like one woman, but there is a lineage, a line, of the Enki Enlil
Hmm.
phenomena and
Hmm.
so forth. And there are 9 Magdalens, and I happen to be one of them.
Hmm.
But there's one Eve, and
Hmm.
I'll just say that. And it's not about, oh, I want to be anything. I don't really care about that, other than to the extent of how it affects me in this lifetime, so that I can correct what needs to be corrected, so I don't do it again, because
Yeah.
I'm not
Totally.
doing it again, whatever it is. I'm not.
Yeah. So
And I know.
you're on the journey of the empowerment of the divine feminine. So that's what you came to embrace. Okay. So uh, which is a beautiful journey, but it's a very difficult one in this reality. Okay, because
I appreciate that, Debbie.
yeah, yeah,
It's been, yeah, go ahead, please go ahead, elaborate more, because I
yeah,
know
because
that, yeah.
it's we have been subjugated as the divine feminine for I would say hundreds of thousands of years on this planet, and this is the time when the divine feminine is going to finally be elevated to the status that it's supposed to be. So you
Right.
came in representing a very strong archetype. This is a divine feminine archetype, and I'm getting chills as I'm talking about this. So to me, it always tells me that it must be real. Uh, but for you, because your journey was so difficult, you do have to transcend a lot more trauma than maybe the average person, but the rewards that you get out of doing this is going to be so vast. It's just what I see in you. So I don't doubt that you came from that lineage. I know it because I looked at your records. I know where you came from, and I think you have an amazing journey ahead of you. So,
Oh,
so
Debbie, thank you so much. Because yeah, you just cracked my heart open a little bit because I look up to you in a big way, and I trust that you know.
oh
I
no,
don't just
I
reach
know
out
where
to
you came
anybody.
from. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know where you came from. So,
yeah. And I
I
really
honor
do
that.
want to help. I
Yeah.
want, especially women. I have a love for women in a way that not in a,
Oh
I
no, I
have
know what you
love
mean.
for
Yeah.
my sisters,
Yeah.
for you,
Or the
for
divine
and
sisterhood. Totally.
yes,
Yeah.
in a way that sometimes I get shunned or mocked because I am very loving and affectionate, and people take it as like love bombing. It's not love. I want everybody to succeed. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
ever
No, I mean
feel like
that's
I have to be
totally.
in competition with anybody. When I feel that come from other women, it's almost a saddening
Oh
because
yeah.
it's like
No,
it's not
it saddens me
necessary.
too, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But thank you so much for that.
Oh no, I
Um,
mean that's all I mean, we're all sisters. We're all here to support each other. I mean, I feel the same way you do. I love my star brothers too, but I especially love the star sisters. I
right.
mean,
And
so
that's how I feel. It's not that I'm excluding or have. I love men. I mean, I love my brother. Yes,
yeah,
but
I mean,
I
yeah,
know that
we got some
my.
amazing divine masculines out there too.
Oh,
So
absolutely, I
yeah,
agree.
yeah,
So I just feel like for so long I have held on to my experiences and have looked for help and was really traumatized because what happened in my case, just
yeah.
quickly, and then is that I had my awakening, had my Kundalini activation, was downloaded
Mm-hmm.
information, told my DNA, who I am, so forth. I was also told Sarah Adams. I don't know if you're familiar with Sarah Adams. She does.
Mm-hmm.
We're okay. She said, "Yes, Ida, you hold the Magdalene DNA,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a 300,000-year-old Draco reptilian that refuses to let go of you." And
Mm-hmm.
I know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all here. Let's just say that. It's like the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. It's like, who do you think you are? Well, I know who I am.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
no, totally,
right?
yeah,
It's not about trying to be, and I don't think I'm special. So let me make that clear. I don't think I'm special. I think we all have a special divine purpose,
yeah. Oh,
and
totally, yeah,
and it's a gift that's
yeah.
bestowed to us, and it's not something that's taken lightly. And
Oh,
that's where I've had, like, it's almost like I've had to like dull my own shine so it doesn't make other people uncomfortable. And it's like, all right, already, I'm not doing that crap anymore.
oh, you
It's
don't need
not
to
about
dull yourself. Give it shine, girl, shine.
right,
Yeah,
but you
yeah,
should know. But
yeah.
well, because there's so many. It's like the competition of it's just nonsense, Debbie. I'll just say that.
But that's the unevolved divine. That's the unevolved feminine perspective. Is when there's competition.
Yeah,
The evolved feminine, we're all supporting each other.
that's
So
correct. Thank
yeah,
you for that.
yeah.
Yes,
So yeah,
but
totally.
I don't. But you're saying that. But I don't. There's other females that are in some have some
Oh yeah, no. Even in the
public
spiritual community, there's a
recognition
lot.
that aren't evolved
Yeah.
like you are, Debbie. I
Yeah,
have
no,
to
there's a
say
lot
that.
of competition
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there, and
And,
anybody that is stepping into a level of competition is not really evolved, in my opinion. They're not walking their talk. You know what I'm saying? So,
right, right.
um, um,
So
and I
I've
guess
had to
maybe
keep
that's the
yeah,
Arcturian way, is that there is no competition in Arcturus. We're all one. We're all together. We're all connected. So anybody else's, success is also our success. That's the way I've always seen it. It's like if somebody else is successful, I'm happy for them because there's enough for all of
there's
us.
so much joy that comes from seeing somebody reach
Oh,
their highest
totally.
potential and
Yeah.
evolve and so forth. I get super excited.
Oh,
Right.
totally.
And if
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
something like people like you, like a woman like you, where I can look up to and say, hey, I would love to learn and be able to, you know, be able to tap into some of the experiences that are less,
For information.
yes,
Yeah.
so like you, so that I can also help people.
Oh,
It's not a
totally.
one shot person deal
Yeah.
thing. It's like we all contribute. So I appreciate what you just said.
No, thank you. No,
Yeah.
I really believe that. It saddens me when, and I've had, women be jealous of me, or, in which I never quite could understand, because I'm like the most humble person out there. I
I
kind of,
think you're amazing, and I'm
I'm just
so
very
drawn to
humble,
you. Yeah.
um, but when but I refuse to play those games. I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
you know what, that's your deal. That's your, that's the, so people's reactions to us is not us, it's them. It's more the
Yeah.
expression of
And
them.
I think that's been a big issue for me, is that as much as I say I don't care what other people think I care too much sometimes.
Oh, I
And
think we all do. I mean, I think
yeah,
a
and
lot of us do. Yeah.
yeah, but it hinders me from really stepping into my real authentic, like, okay, I can't do this anymore. It's time for me to get on the line,
Yeah.
on the right timeline for
Yeah.
my
Gotcha.
spiritual
Yeah.
development and growth. And that's pretty much where I'm at. But
Yeah.
I
No,
appreciate, yeah,
you're
you're
what,
you're
Leo?
so amazing. I listen to your the readings that you do, the work that you do, Debbie. I look up to you. I think you're amazing. The transformation that you've gone through with healing yourself, and I mean, God
Thank you.
bless it. That's amazing. I
Yeah.
mean,
No,
you just don't heal. Yes, that's
I
super
was like,
awesome.
I went from being 182 pounds to now being like, I don't know, like 115 or 113.
God, and you look beautiful,
Thank
gorgeous.
you. Thank you.
Seriously. I
Yeah.
mean, well, anybody can go back and look at, I mean, they'll
Oh
see
yeah.
the
No, I
print.
mean, it was just,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's why I
And your
say,
work.
you can reverse anything. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how
Well,
far gone you are.
yeah.
Uh,
It's I feel like it's like either that old saying, excuse my language, shit or get off the pot, right?
yeah,
Kind of thing.
exactly.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been feeling a bit stuck because I'm the youngest of 12, and I've been challenged. I'm the youngest of 12. There's
Oh
seven,
yeah. No,
eight
that's
girls, four boys. Then my dad had two more after my
mhm.
mom, and dad
Yeah.
split up when she was pregnant with me. And my father's Palestinian and my mother was Irish Scottish. So the
Yeah.
bloodlines are definitely there as
Yeah.
well.
That's some
And
intense bloodlines there too. Yeah.
for sure.
Hmm.
But I do know that in my case, well, I was going to ask you about Pleione.
Oh, Cleone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because that's, from my understanding, where the star or the planet that I came from prior to.
Was it,
So
yeah, the star system? Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah, yeah,
remember
yeah.
that.
Can you share a little bit about
Oh yeah, sure. I'd
Pleione?
love to.
Okay.
And then yeah, we'll wrap it up with that.
Yes. Okay.
And I do
Yes.
have to
And
skedaddle, but
also before, because I have to end this, because Kate, people know
Katie got,
Katie,
yeah,
the
she's got her
producer,
thing to
she
do
had to
too.
step out.
Yeah.
If you could make sure that you send me all your links, that way when we do upload it, I have it for people to be able to
Totally.
contact you, go to your website, possibly those that might be interested in taking some of your courses or having a session with you. I highly, highly recommend. I'm sure people will, you know,
Yeah, no,
be interested. So
it might be a while for the session, but you can take my training immediately. So,
yeah, yeah.
and then we are offering the Mastering Starseed Health one on July 31st. So
Okay.
I'll be announcing that. It'll be like sometime this week or next week when I'll announce it. But
I'll be listening out for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to Pleione, though, Pleione is one of the many star systems that are in the Pleiades asterism. So the Pleiades is a cluster of stars. That's what an asterism is, and it's located in the constellation of Taurus. And we got Taurus is a huge constellation. It's got a lot of stars, not just the Pleiades, but the Pleiades is part of it. Pleione is an interesting little star system because it actually is the home. From what I saw in the records, it's the original home of Mother Mary. So Mother Mary is actually a Pleiadian. She's not a Syrian. A lot of people think that she's Syrian, but she's actually originally from the Pleiades.
Oh, I could tell you something, but I won't go there right now. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah.
I can't believe you just said that. I mean, I can believe it, but I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, that's what I've totally picked up from the records. But Pleione is a sanctuary star system, so it was designed to be a place where Pleiadians can go to reflect on their spiritual journeys and heal. In the Pleiades, there was no like PTO, like like we were regular Earth jobs where you're like, oh, I only allowed to take a certain amount of time off. I mean, you could take as much time off as you wanted to in the Pleiades because they were so supportive of our journeys, um, so Pleione was had this really gentle, healing energy. And when I see Pleione in the records, it always looks like a bunch of trees, a lot of lakes and rivers and waterways, maybe a lot what the Pacific Northwest in the United States might look like. But but it was a very healing place, and they had a lot of little healing centers or little healing places that people could stay. And so a lot of folks that have had Pleione lifetimes are healers. Okay, they're here to create sanctuary space in this 3D reality, or transcend the space in the 3D reality to hold this vibration of Pleione. So it's one of my favorite little star systems, along with Merope, which is another amazing little system in the Pleiades. But
Nice.
very divine feminine energy in that star system. Very
Thank you
divine.
so much for sharing. Well, and it makes me think, there's a place close to where I live called Lasco Park where
Yeah.
it's full of gorgeous trees, and I
Mm.
feel so alive there.
Oh,
Meaning,
totally. Yeah.
like, connected to the earth, connected to the trees.
Yeah.
They've, I mean, I made a post not long ago saying the trees are my friends. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel so safe there.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's pretty amazing what you just shared. I do know that I was told I had other, you're one of them, but I've had readings from other people as well, and was told that I've had 8 incarnations, um and that I am a wanderer, and my purpose, my life purpose is to be a teacher and a guide.
Oh,
Or
totally. I would
healer and a
agree.
guide. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, healer and a guide.
A healer and a guide.
So
Yeah.
uh and yeah, I feel like I've been doing that for a long time, but I try not to allow my own trauma or my own projections. Like, I've become more super conscious of my own behaviors and the things that I say and what I engage in at
Yeah.
this point, where I don't want to project my own stuff on people. So I have to take like a double step back for a minute till I can get to a place where I'm not not talking about me anymore, Debbie, and being able to really be present for
Oh,
not
totally.
not
Totally.
talking about me, but you know what I mean, like, not
Yeah, no, I
allowing
understand where
my
you're coming
stuff to be, you know,
Yeah, totally.
if
No,
that makes sense. Yeah.
I would say I think sometimes Pleiadian starseeds like yourself, you're so empathic that it's hard to separate someone else's feelings from yours until you get very well versed in that, which most Pleiadians do. I mean, they're very high vibrational star seeds, so eventually, they do figure out how to navigate, through the explosion of energies that we have here on this planet. But yeah, I would say, yeah, just keep doing the great work that you're doing, and that goes for everybody. I do need to wrap things up because I do have another appointment, but
Debbie,
it,
thank you so much for coming on.
oh no, it's been great. I really enjoyed our time together, and I enjoyed sharing with all your listeners and all the folks that are your followers. So if any of them want to contact me, they can do so from my website, which is debbiesolaris.com, DEBBIESOLARIS, just like it sounds. And if they want to check out my YouTube channel, they can just do a search under Debbie Solaris. They'll find me. And I'm also on social media, Instagram and Facebook. So they can reach out to me. I'll be honest, as far as an Akashic reading or any type of reading, I am very heavily booked. It's a long waiting list, but if you're willing to hang in there, hopefully it's worth the wait. I mean, I think it's worth
Sure.
the wait, but
Oh,
yeah,
it's definitely worth the wait.
yeah,
Absolutely. I
yeah.
highly encourage. Well, I want to train to be able to do that. And
Oh yeah, totally. And we're going to offer trainings in that later this year. So I
yeah,
am
yeah.
I just need to get through this Mastering Starseed Health and the anti-aging course, and then we're going to start working on that training. So
Yeah. So
'cause we
those
do
of you
need
that want to
more
be able to do,
to
I
do what
mean,
I do. Yeah,
yeah.
you know,
Well,
and
I know that
I'm
you said
sharing
that
all my
you're,
secrets, all my
yeah,
secrets.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, all of
yeah.
it. So yeah, to me, it's kind of like we're all here to share. We're all here to learn from each other, and I don't feel like I'm in competition with anybody. I think we're all here to do the work, and let's just have a good time while we're here, and support one
I
another. Love
absolutely
each.
agree.
Yeah.
So everybody go, please do visit Debbie's website. And also she's on Facebook. I'm friends with her. Maybe you can connect with her in that way, or at least see some of her posts, some of the things that, the transformation that she's gone through. She shared some of that with us on Facebook, and it's lovely to,
Yeah,
to,
thank you. Yeah, no, it's
yes.
amazing. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
speaking of anti-aging, I guess I've been told I've reversed age 20 years. I don't know if that's true or not, but
Oh,
uh,
I can tell you right now that I can totally see a
yeah,
complete difference from when I first met you,
yeah,
which was in 2017,
yeah,
till now. I mean,
yeah.
clearly there's been a reversal. So
Yeah,
good for
there's
you.
so
Yeah.
so we're going to also be teaching a reverse aging in another couple of months. So
Okay. Yeah.
so
So,
folks,
some exciting things coming up, and
oh yeah,
everybody,
totally.
yeah, has the opportunity to get involved. And I'm often, I say to myself, if I help one person doing this show, I've served my purpose, right?
Totally, yeah.
I want to reach more hearts. Please, if you like this content, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section if you have you know certain topics that you'd like for me to focus on. I want to reach more people, and just and put my best foot forward. And
Yeah, no, you're
yeah,
already doing that.
well, thank you, Debbie. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
thanks. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. Thank you for having me on. It was been
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we'll make sure that all your links, you'll send them to me.
Oh
So
yeah,
if everybody,
we'll
yep,
get everybody hooked up. Yeah, totally.
very good. Have a blessed day. Thank you,
Yeah, you
Debbie. Thank you
take
for coming.
care.